Welcome to Armchair Expert, Experts on Expert. I'm Dan Shenanders. I'm joined by Monica Mouse.
Hi there.
Meep, meep. I want you to have a mouse noise you do when we say, and Monica Mouse.
Oh, okay. I heard that.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good timing, Wobby Wob. We have two of our favorite creators today.
Yeah.
Phil Lord and Chris Miller, popularly known as Lord and Miller. They are Academy Award-winning filmmakers. They directed Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which we loved. The Lego movies, which were just
incredible,
so groundbreaking. 21 and 22 Jump Street, both hysterical. Last Man on Earth, one of my favorite shows of all time.
Ugh.
And Clone High. They have a new show out right now on Apple Plus with maybe the best cast in television called The Afterparty. Every comedian you've ever loved, minus Monica and I, are in it. Yeah.
It's really, really good. It's very cool. It's like a murder mystery show, and each episode is a different genre.
Yeah, you watched the whole thing last night, which you'll hear about in the fact check.
That's right.
Easter egg, Monica's not well. But she's okay. But she's not well. Thoughts and prayers. I love you. Please enjoy Lord and Miller.
He's an armchair expert. He's an armchair expert. He's an armchair expert.
Right out of the gates, what we need to address is generally we don't interview two people at a time.
Uh-oh.
It gets confusing.
Yeah.
And in fact, it's very helpful that I'm male and she's female, just for the host's sake, right?
If one of us didn't sound nerdy, it would be a lot easier. But we both have nasal nerd voice.
I'm Phil Lord.
And I'm Chris Miller.
That's what it sounds like. That's what we're like.
No.
It's true.
So we're going to try this. We're going to try to cement this for the listener. Again, and I don't ever have to ask guests to do this, but in this case, we're going to have to ask this. So I need you to start and say your name.
My name's Chris Miller, and I sound like this.
Okay.
Hey, and my name is Phil Lord, and I sound a lot like Chris Miller.
No, they're different.
It's good.
Different
It's
enough?
good. Yeah.
Also, I'm assuming we'll just announce our name before everything we say.
I will say Chris.
Yes,
And
this
then
is me.
Phil will say yes.
Yeah.
Oh, this reminds me. So this wonderful guy I was in the Groundlings with, Guy Stevenson, very funny, bizarre sense of humor, is obsessed with robots and gorillas and all this kind of stuff. So he wrote a sketch, and it was Stephen Hawking's teaching astrophysics to a class of 6 other people who also had his condition. So everyone's got the same computer voice. Then someone says, "Can I go to the bathroom?" Yes. Who needs to go to the bathroom?
Oh, God.
Me. Who? The girl. No, I don't. Class dismissed. Who's saying class? And it becomes like a mutiny, and no one can figure out who's talking. And they keep going, "It was the girl. No, it wasn't. This is the girl.
Oh,
it
my
was."
God.
And you know,
It probably couldn't fly today.
I wonder.
I bet it could.
You think so?
Well,
Yeah.
you know, if something's genius, it transcends all the layers of no-ness.
And if it's nice.
It's kind of celebrating, that they might have had like a mutiny and they have a sense of humor. And
Yeah, right. And honestly, that if you have a disability, you could still be funny. And funny things still happen to you.
If it doesn't feel like you're punching down, I think it works.
right. Obviously, Stephen Hawking's, you're punching up minimally intellectually.
That's for sure.
So guys, where do we start? Lord and Miller, I'm just going to start with my love for you guys. And it's a very sincere one. I hope it's gotten back to you at some point in your
You
life.
come up a lot on our show.
Yeah, I love you guys. So my first experience was Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. How many years ago was that movie?
That was 2009.
Okay, so I didn't have kids. I just was there. I was going to blame it on my kids, but I just was there. I think the title got me maybe, and I wasn't so into animated movies. And I was like, this is revolutionary. I loved that movie more than you can imagine. I think that's the first time I saw your guys' name. And then, of course, I knew about Lego Movie, this and that. But then you sucker punch us all with Last Man on Earth. Right title?
Last Man on
That's
Earth.
it.
I always get confused with
I know,
Last Man
Standing.
Oh,
man.
it's tough.
Too many Last Mans.
It's hard
I
because
know.
they're so different, but the names are too close.
I know.
know.
It's really true.
Dermot Mulrooney and McDermott.
Tried to get them to change.
So I guess at that point when I was watching Last Man on Earth, I went from me liking you guys to I don't like these guys. They're too good at this. It seems effortless.
It got negative.
Yeah, it did. I was so happy when everything went sideways on Star Wars. That's something I would do. I could find myself in that pickle.
You could relate to us.
And then it only got compounded when I had directed a live action movie and the studio liked it. So they said, why don't you come over and take over this animated project? And I've never done it. And then I realized it's so hard. Oh my God, is it hard? I was so bad at it. It was so hard. It was a year and a half of my life. And again, I went back to, these guys are incredible. They're impossible. And then your guys' meet cute is really wonderful. So I think we should maybe start there. You guys were classmates.
It's true. We went to college together.
Which college?
It was Dartmouth College.
I knew it was going to be a fancy one.
Fancy school for fancy people.
Is that where Mindy Kaling
It
was?
is.
True fact.
Did you
We
cross
did.
paths?
She was a freshman when we were seniors, and we were in the same improv group together.
Oh my God, cool.
Really?
It's true.
I love that.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but Dartmouth to me seems like maybe the sweet spot where you don't have to apologize you went there. You can say it. It's a good school.
You don't have to say I went into school in Boston.
Or
Yeah.
in
New Haven.
Connecticut.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's a
Silicon-
lot of schools up there.
They were sort of like the party version of the fancy school.
I love that.
Where are you originally from, Chris?
I'm from the Seattle area, Lake Stevens, Washington.
Oh, wonderful. I'm very well versed in Seattle.
Oh, yeah?
Dated a girl that was from there for 9 years. Marysville, Everett, Tulalip Reservation, Walla Walla Sweet Onions.
Oh, yeah. Come here. I grew up on the same street as Chris Pratt.
Oh my God.
I'm the second most famous Chris from Lake Stevens.
That's not
What's the name of this
fair.
street?
It's called Davies Road.
There it is.
Oh my gosh.
He had to ruin that for you.
I know, right?
That's not nice.
Let me make a sales pitch for you guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Washington folks. Rugged.
Look at me. You're describing me.
Yeah. And liberal.
Yeah.
It was confusing for me being from Detroit. I went there and I was like, this guy's going to knife me. He's got a big beard and a sweet truck. And then he was like, we got to make marriage equal.
And he was really aggressive about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can be both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it. Your parents, were they in the aerospace industry? Were they in tech?
My last name is Miller, and my dad runs a lumber mill.
Oh, he
like
does?
makes shakes and shingles. And he's in the timber industry.
Big industry up there.
Yeah.
Was he so bummed that you weren't like going?
The family business?
Yeah, yeah.
I think he realized pretty early on that I was not. I spent 1 week that was supposed to be a summer job shoveling sawdust, and I was like, this isn't gonna fly. And I found myself a job at a country music radio station writing ads.
Oh, perfect.
Oh, there we go.
But was he involved with just the processing, or was he also doing the cutting, the excavation of the lumber? Where does he get involved?
It was my grandpa's company, and my dad and his brother have been running it now. It's like a family company. There's a mill, and there's the whole thing.
Do you have brothers or sisters who
I've
will
got
take it
two
over?
sisters.
Okay.
And neither one of them either went into the timber business.
I went to visit the mill, and they have a machine that scans the log and then does a bunch of math to decide the most efficient way to slice the log up based on to the moment prices. Like, oh, a 2x4 is worth a little more than I don't know what else there is.
Well, generally, the longer, the more valuable.
And wood's expensive right now,
It
guys.
is. Maybe you could hook us up. We're doing a lot of
You want
projects.
some shingles?
I see that.
Yeah.
You profiteer.
I tell you what, a pocket right, like a little skim.
Dropped it right
Gotta
in
wet my beak a little.
Yeah. You saw this COVID thing coming and you just started
Oh,
shopping
yeah.
for yachts. And then how about you, Phil? What area of the country are you from?
I grew up in the Seattle of Florida, Miami,
Oh, wow.
another mid-sized port city.
By the way, we're all three are the same age, which I love.
right.
And then so your father was in aviation in the 80s in Miami.
True fact.
What's my next question?
Oh. Is that a way of asking?
Did he ever get
Was he a
approached?
drug mule?
Yeah, did he smuggle? Did he ever get approached to smuggle?
I am sure people that worked for him could have been involved in that, but not my dear old dad, sweet Wally Lord, is too circumspect, would never do such a thing. In fact, he probably hurt the business because he found out. So one of the businesses was a repair shop, and they did a bunch of work for UPS that manages this huge fleet of planes. But the reason they had this account was because we were bribing them. And then he found out that they were being bribed, and he was like, we got to stop that.
Oh my
and they were
God.
like, great, we're going to go down the street to the other guys.
So he walked away from an enormous contract.
Too ethical.
Too ethical.
Unlike the Millers over here.
Absolutely. Oh my
Clear
God.
cutting America.
Yeah, but it was everywhere. There were like 3 drug dealers on my street.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
There were like different, like, don't go play with like Danny's kids.
Yeah. Well, I think what was originally making the headlines when we were younger were Salacious, the Black Widow gunning down people in front of the shopping center. But now that there's more and more docs coming out, you realize like every Tom, Dick, and Harry was involved in it in some way. There's a couple great ones.
Yeah, the Billy Corben ones, Cocaine Cowboys.
Love the Cocaine Cowboys ones, but even more playful is that Bad Sport series on Netflix. Have you guys
haven't
watched
seen it.
that?
No.
Oh, it's great.
It's incredible. It's by the guys who did Wild Wild Country.
Oh, loved Wild
Love
Wild
it.
Country.
So there was this guy, he's a hillbilly from Appalachia, moves down to Florida when he's like 13. He's an outcast. He gets a job contracting. They asked, can you get weed? I know guys at school. Now he builds this into a thing. I'm going to cut to the chase. He'd always want to be a race car driver. He ends up with a fucking full-blown ocean-going tanker that he buys, and it's loaded with like 150 tons of marijuana or shipments, hundreds of millions of dollars. Just a good old nice guy. Starts racing. He's a natural. He wins the SCCA his first year. He raced in the Indy 500. He was Rookie of the Year. It's the cutest, most lovable
That's
story.
amazing.
And it was always weed, no coke. And you realize like, oh, there was also tons of people like that.
Right.
Yeah.
That's amazing that weed made his way into his dream.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we've been to Vancouver a few times for work, and the thing that I thought was remarkable was that there would be people in like a fleece pullover, and then they would get into like a Lamborghini. Oh. And I was like, oh, right. This is another mid-sized port city with an illicit drug trade underlying all of its industry.
Well, I think it's in Cocaine Cowboys where they're saying that the average Federal Reserve cash holdings at any given time, there's like 20 of them throughout the country, was somewhere on the order of like 40 to 50 million in cash, and that the Florida Federal Reserve always had like $6 to $7 billion in cash. It was like preposterous. And the economy was booming when the whole country was hitting the skids.
It just touched everything.
Were you aware of it?
No, not at all. Other than that Miami Vice was on the air and like would shoot in like a house in the neighborhood, and that was like the coolest thing that could happen is Miami Vice would shoot in your neighborhood.
Hell yeah.
Or like they shot in like my friend's house.
Oh my
Wow.
God.
And it just blew everybody's mind.
Was Sonny there, Crockett? Was he in the scene?
Sonny Crockett was there.
Tubbs.
Philip Michael Thomas was there. It just was like we were all crowding around like with our little Toys R Us skateboards watching the whole thing go down.
So you didn't see any kind of violence or anything related to it?
Nothing like that. It's just that you realize like, oh, anyone who had a bank account, anyone who took out a loan from a local bank was touching the money.
Yeah.
And that like, oh, my friend, he had that uncle that would just like show up with like a bunch of just fans. Like, you know, like an entire truck with a whole gross of fans.
Okay.
You'd be like, all right, so that was not right. And then I had a classmate in high school who like disappeared. And then he didn't show up to the first day at school. And then his dad was on the news.
Oh my gosh.
They're like, oh, he's part of the Medellin drug cartel and had to like skip
Oh
town.
my! You would have loved.
So it was
that.
all there. You just like you didn't realize
Yeah.
until like it would like pop up.
Yeah. And again, maybe more of these documentaries will be like, we'll find out your teacher or
Phil. Like,
Phil.
what if I watch a documentary and I'm like, I was
a courier.
the whole time, I thought I was just like JV cross country, but I was.
Why do I have to wear a backpack while I'm running? I don't understand.
I can tell, Phil, that that's not a joke, the JV cross country.
Yeah, I wasn't good enough to be varsity cross country.
But you look like a long distance runner.
Yeah, I could
Yeah, I
totally
see it.
Endurance.
Yeah, you don't have to have skill. You just have to have
That's not true.
will, and you have to be Catholic enough and self-flagellating enough to just take the pain.
You have to be mad enough at yourself.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, so you're at Dartmouth, and then this is really cute too. You both have your own column in the school newspaper.
We each had our own comic strip.
Comic strip,
Yeah, we drew comic strips in the school paper.
but independently.
Independently, Chris took over for Jake Tapper.
That's right.
You guys.
You've already said so many names.
Yeah, Chris Pratt.
Dropping names.
Jake Tapper. You dropped Mindy.
Yeah,
though, in their
but they
defense.
picked it up.
We picked it up when you dropped it.
So did you guys know Jake?
I know he interviewed me my senior year because he was working for a newspaper somewhere, but he also worked for the alumni magazine, and he interviewed me for the alumni magazine, and that's when I met him for the first time.
Okay.
But he was the outgoing cartoonist
That's right.
the year before.
What's more likely to get you in there? Clever content or like great artistic skills?
A willingness to do it, I think.
Okay.
It's a small school. Anyone who could do it.
They're like, you're willing to do it regularly? Then you got the job.
All right, then let me ask a better question. What part of it did you excel at? A clever concept or like the execution of the artwork?
I would say the artwork for mine was way less sophisticated than the artwork for Phil's. It was all about the joke for me.
But Chris was excellent at being able to think of an idea and execute it in 45 minutes at like midnight, right before the deadline, which is why his strip appeared daily and mine appeared inconsistently weekly.
Okay.
You're a perfectionist.
Yes, but also very messy. And they weren't very funny, as I recall. They just were like elaborate.
Okay.
So I was like trying to be Windsor McKay or some shit, and Chris was just being funny and cute and good.
And then how do you guys cross paths?
So we met freshman week. A friend of ours was like, "Oh, I know someone just as weird as you," and like made a match.
Oh, wow.
But we really didn't become friends until I accidentally lit Phil's girlfriend's hair on fire.
Okay.
Oh my.
She was playing a game called Jewel Box, which was like Tetris, and I was playing a game called Let's See How Close I Can Get This Lighter to Heather's Hair Without Her Noticing. Oh. And I won, and her oily hair caught fire terribly.
Oh,
right.
no.
Smelled terrible.
She was okay. She didn't really notice.
Yes, I just got blue on her head, and
And so Chris and I locked eyes over him putting the hair out, and she's like, "What's up, guys?"
Why are you playing with my hair?
And we both made a decision not to say anything.
Oh, my God.
and what's that smell? Burnt hair smells terrible,
Yeah.
and it smelled terrible for quite a while.
I think precipitated the ultimate breakup.
And there you go.
It was a factor.
Sure.
Well, oily hair also doesn't sound all that appealing.
That was fun.
Oh, you love the oil.
It was so smooth.
Natural.
So smooth. Almost wet.
A nice shine.
I don't mind an oily hair.
There's a line.
That's right. There's a limit.
There's a line. Like bedhead, it looks sexy.
Right.
Matted down like a wet rat, it's a bummer. When do you guys start working together? Because the part of your story that I read seems just frankly suspicious. And I'm being serious.
Which version did you read?
Okay, I read a version where Michael Eisner came across your guys'
This
thing.
is true. It also involves Jake Tapper.
Yeah, it's the very article that Jake Tapper wrote. This is like the most story of like privilege. Like,
Rename the show Privilege Mountain.
Privilege peak.
again, it's not a replicable situation for anybody.
Yeah.
Sure.
But that article about me had made its way to the Walt Disney Company and into the hands of Michael Eisner.
But how? See, this is the part.
One of his kids, who we didn't know was a different time than us, had gone to Dartmouth, and because of that, they would send him mail in the hopes that someday he would donate money to the college, which he never did.
Yeah.
And so because of that, I guess he was flipping through a thing on the story goes on the jet and saw this article, sent it to someone who sent it to someone who sent it to someone who called
What was
me.
the meat of the article?
The title of the article is "The Next Dr. Seuss?" ?
Because Dr. Seuss had gone to Dartmouth. Also, just to name drop yet again.
We really have a high density
Oh,
of names.
privileged town.
Also, what a big swing.
I know. The answer was no, by
Next
the way.
Einstein, next Walt Disney.
An emphatic no.
And it had a picture of Chris holding like a pencil, and then they comped in
The cartoon character.
Sleazy the Wonder Squirrel, his character from his comic strip.
Okay.
It had some distortions.
That's right. I had interned at ILM one summer while they were making the Star Wars prequels, and it said that I had designed the dinosaurs for the new Star Wars movies. And I was like, this is wrong for like 4 reasons.
Not to impugn the journalistic integrity of Mr. Tapper.
No, we can't. He learned.
Yeah.
Anyway, got to some lower level person who ended up calling me in my off campus apartment. They said, "Oh, would you like to fly out to Los Angeles for a meeting?" And I said, "I can't. I have midterms."
No.
Sure.
And then I said, my buddy Phil and I are moving out to Hollywood
You
when
made
we
two
graduate.
huge mistakes. Can I bring my friend? And also, let me save you some money, and I'll just fly myself out for the meeting.
I will send you our VHS tapes of our films and meet you in the summertime.
How about this? I imagine the window of his interest in me is huge. I'm sure he'll be thinking about this article for months. So let's just count on him still being interested in 1 year. How's that sound, gang?
It was crazy. I feel like they hung up. They're like, they're playing hard to get. I guess they must have other offers. I don't know what's going on.
Could it work to your advantage?
It ended up working. We moved to Los Angeles and we go into that meeting which was rescheduled for 3 months later.
At least.
Yeah, it could have been 5 months. Anyway, it was a very short meeting, and the guy was just sort of like, I liked your films. We'd love for you to work here.
This is Eisner.
No,
No, this is Barry Blumberg, at that time the head of Walt Disney Television Animation. There was like a game of telephone. It went from like Eisner gave it to Charles Hirschhorn, gave it to Dean Valentine. By the time it gets to Barry, it's like, these are Eisner's boys.
Oh my God.
Wow, that could go either way.
It was a 5-minute meeting.
and we got hired to make up Saturday morning cartoons.
And our classmates who all, got hired by investment banks and together took down the world financial system. They were all making the same money as us in their like first crazy year of interning or whatever. And we felt really lucky because they were like working 100-hour weeks. And we were like drawing cartoons in our underpants.
Yeah.
This is like Mandy Moore's story. Like there's some impossibilities.
Yeah.
I guess this is a relief. I don't know anything about Michael Eisner.
We still have not ever met him.
Oh, okay. Well, good. I won't even be risking y'all's friendship.
Oh, Uncle Mikey,
Yeah, like the Mandy Moore one. So to be honest, when I hear like, oh, Michael Eisner was combing through a fucking colleges to look for, it doesn't
Sounds
sound
sketchy.
right.
Well, it's because Eric Eisner went there. The development office at Dartmouth was always trying to get money.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense now. But this is not too far off of like some of the Weinstein stories. Like, I couldn't believe it.
Walt Disney Company calling me. I saw your picture in a thing. Like,
Exactly.
well, I'll fly you out.
Eisner's lawyer is calling us
I know.
as we speak.
Again, I don't know him. That's where my
We're not making
skeptical-
any accusations.
No, but I'm delighted to hear it. And now it's a kind
All
of...
worked out great.
He made no effort to meet us once
right.
we were hired.
So is the first thing you guys do Clone High there?
That was the first thing that we ever did that got made, really.
I relate to it in so many ways because for most people, now there's others. There's like Quentin Tarantino. It's like comes out and he's fucking brilliant. But then for most of us, boy, is it a learning curve. The amount of failures. If you just learn of you guys because of Lego Movie, you would really not have the full story. And I just think it's always a great, I don't want to say message because I'm not trying to educate anyone, but just what perseverance is, what fucking up and learning from it is, what is taking advice from other people, like what that whole experience, you've just had a ton of it is what I learned
And
about
what
you
like
guys.
overnight success is, which is like 7 years of work. Our first movie, we started making it in 2006. So it was like 9 years after moving here.
Making Cloudy.
And that was a movie we started directing a year after we had gotten fired from it as writers.
Oh, weird.
So first you write this script, they can you and they bring in another writer or writers,
Which happens a lot.
Happens a lot.
and then they fire them, and then they come back to you. Now, here we go. This is where there's a lesson in here. A lot of people are like, fuck that. We were right. But no, you come back and you start working on it again, right?
Right. They had fired then the directors as well. And so we said, we'll come back, but we have to be the actual creative authors of it. And we had no leg to stand. It was like we were anybody, but they're like, you know what? We'll take a flyer on these guys. It was like literally every 3 months they could fire us along the
Wow.
process.
That's what I was going to say. Like, there was a conversation at some point somewhere where someone says, oh, just fucking bring him back and see what happens.
Give them 3 months. And there's never like an official green light because they could just keep spending a little more money.
They told us they greenlit the movie 4 times.
Right. And then my favorite one was when they called us and said, good news, they feel like they would have lost more money on the movie if they don't finish it than if they do. So you're 100% greenlit. We're like, what? I thought we were making this thing. And they're like, no, but now we really
It's a
are making
true
it."
vote of confidence.
Yeah.
Thank
They've
you.
passed the point of no return. Congratulations.
Also, Clone High. Callie, my best friend, loved Clone High.
Great taste, your friend Callie. I always like Callie.
She does have great taste. What a iconic
Well,
show.
but then Clone High was made, and then it was thrown away, right?
Yeah, it blew up pretty badly.
The concept is clones of famous historical figures that go to high school together. So it was like JFK and Cleopatra and Joan of Arc
Unfortunately, Gandhi.
and Abe Lincoln
And we were really worried that the Kennedy stuff,
was going to be in poor taste.
their like peach pit on that show was called The Grassy Knoll.
Oh, okay.
There's a lot of assassination comedy.
Yeah.
Sure.
And so we're like, man, the Democratic Party is probably going to shut us down. And then it was instead our Gandhi character, the concept was that he was worried about living up to the original Gandhi. So he's like, fuck it, I'm going to go the other way.
Sure.
And so then there was an article about it in India that said that Gandhi wore an earring and ate junk food. And there was a hunger strike.
For a real hunger strike.
For
Monica.
real hunger strike.
150 politicians in the lobby of the MTV India offices. Gandhi's grandson also was.
He was part of it. The day this happens, Tom Freston, then the head of Viacom, happens to be visiting the offices.
And they said, we'll revoke your broadcasting license in India unless you take the show off the air.
Oh my God.
They're
I
like,
didn't
a
know
billion people or a low-rated animated comedy. What should we do?
How long did the strike go on?
I think once they said we'll take the show off the air, they all went home.
I guess what I'm wondering, was that like an afternoon?
The hunger strike only lasted like daytime.
Okay, so
it was
more
like more of a
intermittent
fast-
fasting.
Yes,
yeah.
But I think that was like the Modi crew. Yeah, that's like the proto-nationalist.
Proto-Modi.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Fun to say.
Oh boy.
Juicy.
That's what I love about Indians, though.
That's not a good part.
Yeah, no, I
about
love
us.
it. So feisty.
We do have conviction.
Very assertive.
That's right.
That's good.
I like it. So that kills the show,
Yes.
but it comes back.
20 years later.
Now we're making a second and third season of the show.
No
That's going to
way.
come on HBO Max.
With Gandhi or without?
That's a great question. You'll have to wait to find out.
Oh my God, what a great cliffhanger. No, you guys played it safer this time, and it's one of the Shahs. What is
God.
Iran, what's his name?
Ayatollah Khomeini.
Ayatollah Khomeini's clone.
Yeah, it's going to be great. The kids are going to love it.
That's so exciting. Are you a little bit like, yeah, fuck you guys. Now we get to come back and do our original show because we're really famous and really revered now, and fuck you. India?
I'm going to guess you guys don't have that because you couldn't have that and have sustained and gone through all the hurdles. Do you hold on to grudges like that?
Chip on our shoulders. Like a motivating one.
Okay, yeah.
But very few grudges. I think Florida's Secretary of State, Catherine Harris.
Okay. Let's get her out in the ether, yeah.
Yeah.
What's your beef
Still
with her?
holding a grudge. That's the whole Gore Bush thing.
Oh, okay.
I'm still mad about that.
Chads?
Hanging
Some-
Chads,
hanging-
yes. This is some timely
This is a
stuff,
blast
guys.
from the
This is real
past.
timely stuff.
80s drug cartel stuff and fucking hanging
You're a
chads.
privileged mountain. That's what we talk about.
Way upon the peak of privilege
I
mountain.
say.
Four gather to talk about their improbable rise, but very predictable rise. So, is the turning point the success of Cloudy, where like things are changing pretty dramatically?
We worked on a string of sitcoms for 7+ years, most of which were canceled immediately. And then the one time we were on a show that wasn't going to be canceled that we enjoyed, which was How I Met Your Mother, we left to
we
go
quit.
make Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs.
Right
We're
before
like,
the money
This
got
is
Yeah,
too
this
good.
doesn't feel like love. The hours are good.
Cast is
People
friendly.
are nice.
Our friends are running it.
Gonna eventually be valued at $1 billion. Let's get out of here.
Let's blow this popsicle stand.
Bye.
Stay tuned for more Armchair Expert, if you dare.
At the time, was it just always a very flexible North Star, or was there something you guys were certain you wanted to be doing, but then you were like, well, we'll do this in the meantime? What was the priority list for you guys creatively?
In terms of like working in features, I think we felt like careers are long. We got a job in TV. Let's see if we can get any good at this. And that thing will work itself out. Whereas we had a lot of friends who were writing screenplays in the middle of the night and stuff. For the first few years, we didn't really do that. The first screenplay we ever wrote was Cloudy, which is why probably we got fired.
There's also a great story in here, and I don't know how you feel about it in retrospect, but Amy Pascal,
We've made a bunch of movies with Amy.
she was the president of Sony.
The head of the studio.
She was a part of the North Korean hacks where she had like talked shitty about some people in a fucking
She
email.
wrote some emails that were not all positive.
I've read a lot of emails in Hollywood. They don't really make the top 1,000.
Our emails are in that.
Oh, they are. Congratulations. What did they say?
There were some embarrassing things.
Oh, tell us.
Speaking ill of some people.
Chris is much more circumspect because somebody was like, Phil, if you ran the circus, like, what's your advice about how this division of the company could be run better? I said, oh, well. And I rolled up my sleeve,
You finally
put it all on
asked.
paper,
Oh my God.
signed it. I literally listed people. And what I thought of that was super smart.
Oh, by the way, I would have started that email with finally. You've asked. Like, 'cause
That's how I felt.
Yes, in my mind, I'm always like, They're going to ask me
You
eventually.
don't have to write an email, Phil. You could just tell me, no, I want this.
In writing.
Right.
Please.
In perpetuity.
But yeah, so she didn't like the early animatic of Cloudy because it was just a lot of jokes and no emotional story. And we were like, what do you want? And she slammed the table and said, I want a story. And then she
Stormed out of the room.
So Hollywood.
I know, right? And then she had us work with this woman, Lindsay Duran, who's
The greatest human
she
being.
used to run
in the
United
world.
Artists, and she has this business as a script whisperer.
Oh.
And she secretly goes and gives people advice
How cool.
on movies and television.
But
and stuff.
she worked on everything you ever liked. She worked on Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Never seen it. Go ahead.
She produced Dead Again.
You made that up?
Sense and Sensibility.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. She has a romantic flair.
Yeah.
She can do it all.
Spinal Tap. It's like Sense and Sensibility. It's basically the same.
Naked Gun.
Oh, yes.
So she's like a person who makes pretty good movies amazing.
And so
Yeah.
she helped us make the story into something that was actually an emotional story that made sense and you cared about the characters and what was happening. And at first we thought we were too cool for school. We didn't want to be sincere because it was too vulnerable. And so we had to learn how to open up our hearts and be sincere and try to also be funny at the same time. And it made the comedy better.
Let's start by saying we're all funny because we felt like we were going to get murdered by
Yeah.
the jock in the football team. And so the last thing you're thinking is like, no, I developed this to defend myself against that. I'm not going to be sincere.
No, if I do that, I get hurt.
Yes, it's antithetical to this whole thing you just
Were
bought.
you a late bloomer because you're now tall and strapping?
You know what's weird? I trigger in so many people that I am the dude who shoved you in high
I
school.
instinctually feared you when we met.
I skateboarded, I snowboarded. All my friends were artists. I did not like jocks, but I was like a very trauma kid, fucked up. All my friends were fucked up. I was an outcast.
You saw Minding the Gap.
What one is that?
That great documentary. It's about a skate crew, and the director is amazing. Just started shooting them. They were like 14. Then he shot footage for like 7 years.
Whoa.
And as they grew, the more he learned about his crew, the more he realized they were all victims of abusive households.
Yeah.
And that's how they found each other, but they didn't know.
It's a great film.
I have to see
You
that.
have to.
Well, because I just watched the Tony Hawk documentary that was just made by Sam Jones called When the Wheels Fall Off.
I haven't seen it. He's a great filmmaker, though.
It's incredible. And it's that. Like, none of us that got drawn to that scene had a dad practicing anything with us because everyone else had a leg up. So if I went to play soccer, it's like their dads have been kicking a ball with him. But as a skateboard, we all started knowing what the fuck to do. It wasn't embraced by the elite of my school. So you had a shot. You were all learning it and no one had a leg up. I brought a very specific type of kid together.
Yeah.
The people that are often intimidated by Dax, he's often intimidated by. Like when we had Mike, I always reference that.
Mike, sure.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Oh, he's intimidating.
Well, yeah,
We
I
had a
mean-
meeting with him 2 days ago.
Oh, you did?
We did Brooklyn
So
Nine-Nine
smart.
together many moons ago.
Oh,
That's not the issue for me. Not only is he smart, he's a good person.
I know.
I know.
so good.
I hate him so
I do. I hate
He's
his
too
guts.
good. He's smart and good. Come on.
I literally was 5 minutes into the Zoom. I'm like, I need to be a better person. I need to read more. I'm not smart enough.
Yeah.
Who am I
Yeah.
kidding?
We love Mike.
It's true.
In that process, though, a lot of people, the head of the studio says, where's the fucking story? And then you spend the next 10 weeks convincing your agent they don't understand why we're brilliant. You don't meet with the person. You learn nothing from her, the whisperer, and just nothing ever happens.
Right.
So I guess my question is, if being a team has been maybe helpful in those moments.
100%. We first had to learn how to work together and then how to be open to each other's ideas because, we both
Are
making our
geniuses.
own stupid
And we're getting
things.
pretty good at it. Turning the corner, I thought just this morning.
It's hard.
Yes.
It's really hard.
To share credit, to share identity.
Oh, I see it this way and I see it this way. And like,
Yeah.
who wins this debate? And then you have to find another way or understand where the other person's coming from. And it's like being married.
Without the fun part.
Exactly.
Have you ever done couples therapy together?
We've talked about
We
it.
talked about it, but we're too. I mean, his dad is a
Masculine?
miller. My dad is an airplane parts.
guys
We don't
should
do this sort of thing.
Do it.
I think my guess for that is you're afraid you'll break.
The house of cards that we're built upon.
That whatever you would fix is the fuel in the engine that makes you guys.
Maybe there's that. My mother is a therapist.
a Cuban therapist.
A Cuban therapist. And she says, some things shouldn't be examined.
Wow.
She was like, some things, if it works.
We've patched over it. It's fine.
Yeah, maybe you don't want to go under
Let's
the
not
hood.
Unravel the
Yeah.
sweater. But for sure, when you have a meeting like that, immediately you bristle and be like, she doesn't know what she's talking about. This is good.
We're geniuses.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. But it only takes one of you to go like, well, maybe we should consider what she's saying. Let's listen.
So who generally has that role, or does it flip flop?
We flip
We
flop.
swap it, I would say mostly Chris. He's the less hot-headed.
Sometimes I get hot.
Unless he gets hot-headed and then I immediately swap roles.
That's good.
And I'm wonderful.
I should get more hot headed.
If you want me to be a great guy,
What?
just piss this guy off.
So it's a flip flopping good cop, bad cop.
Yeah,
Okay.
It is.
Sort of an instinctive good cop, bad cop.
But you learn that the way out of loggerheads is you generate a new third thing that neither one of you would think of. And you learn to value the conversation and know that the conversation is the engine. That's the creative entity, not me and not Chris.
Right.
And it helps you not have this sort of auteur theory where it's like everything that comes out of my brain is brilliant. You're always kind of like, I'm thinking about, I want to make this thing that Phil is going to like because then it's going to be great. And if Phil likes it, then he can build on it and make it better, make my life better. And then you can open it up to the entire crew, and then other people can bring their ideas, and you don't have to be like, well, it didn't come from me, so I'm not interested.
Yeah.
You can be like,
Yeah.
that's a great idea. This is going to be great, and it's going to make all of us look great.
So the downside, in my opinion, is like neither one of you will ever get full credit. And that's a bummer. We all want kind of full credit, human nature. We come out that way, kind of piggy, like I am, greedy little piggy.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Right. The upside of it is, and this is what I always say, I'm so grateful to be married to Kristen because whatever I do is not very impressive. And that's so fucking healthy for me. I think the fact that neither of you can take too much credit probably is very good for you just long
It's
term as
grounding
humans.
for sure. People don't hold you up as a singular genius who is a vessel for ideas from God.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a healthy way to imagine creative people. That's just a person and they get ideas and they're able to write them down and they're pretty good.
You also mitigate the risk of the very, very common downfall of a talented director, which is their first movie they make, they had to appease a lot of people above them. You start in this process where you're going to get a lot of notes and you have to receive them because you have no success. And then you have a hit. And then the next time you don't have to compromise as much. And if that one works, by the third movie, no one can check you. And most people can't handle that. So I think the fact that you check each other all the time, even when it gets elevated, has to be beneficial.
100%, because I think we are the toughest critics on our own stuff and we are ruthless on it. And I think it comes from anxiety and being scared of making something that nobody likes.
But you need friction, that's part of it. You can't fly without there being like tooth to the atmosphere, right? There has to be something that pushes against your ideas, and it's that conversation that makes it good. So a lot of times for us, that's just watching the movie and imagining what an audience is going to experience.
I'm so glad you just referenced the dynamics of Lift.
Yeah, that's right. Here was a physics lesson here for all of us.
I really like it. I was watching the Wu-Tang Clan documentary. Mm-hmm. I don't know if either of you have seen that. I wasn't even a Wu-Tang fan per se. I know how much people love them, so I wanted to watch it. I'm watching it, and the coolest thing that they did was they bring all these guys that are in the Wu-Tang Clan into this theater, and they just start spitting rhymes to each other they've come up with, right? And they're older. All the success in the world. And then they pull like Method Man aside, and they're like, what was going on? He's like, all I want to do still, I'm just trying to impress so-and-so. And they each had a guy in their crew who they always still wanted to impress. And I was like, that is the purest, best form of creative fuel. And so it sounds like you have that. Like you want Phil to go,
Oh, that's great.
Dude.
That's the best. And I have a little Phil on my shoulder when I'm writing a scene, and Phil has a little Chris. And they're both like, it's like, oh, he's going to think this is dumb. Like, there's a lot of like, I'm cheating here and I'm trying to like whistle past the graveyard and not let anybody see that this is fundamentally broken, and he's gonna bust me on this.
And I know that like I'm writing this 10-page scene that should be 1 page. Chris gonna bust me on that.
You bring up something though, and my wife doesn't have it as much. Monica has it a lot. She and I are always doing this. If you're an actor, you see shit happening in a movie and you're like, he wanted to get out. He's not in the wide. These are little things you pick up. Similarly, as a writer, I'm watching something, I'm like, they just didn't give a fuck. They're like, you know what? This doesn't add up. Someone had to have flagged this, and they were like, fuck it. And it drives me insane. Do you guys have a hard time with that?
Yeah, and I'd say that the people we collaborate with the best are people who will do it for free. And that they look at something and they flag it. We work with some really great people that are on a mixing stage right now doing something. And something happened when we thought we were done. And then they say, oh, you know what? Somebody came in here and they flagged something for us on their off day. And we drove in and fixed it. And that's like up and down the crew. There are
Maniacs.
right.
People who are
They care
maniacs.
so much about the stuff
Yeah.
that it doesn't matter. And that's how we are. I care so much about it being good.
Yeah. It is a delicate balance. So you want the people to have enough ownership over the movie you're all making together that they come in on their day off or that they fix it out of the goodness of their heart, right? And also you can't have everyone making their own movie because everyone also has their own movie in their head.
It's your job, as the head of the ship to point everybody in what success looks like. And you go like, stuff in this direction is what we're going for. And if you have an idea that you think will be in this direction over here, but not over there, then it's going to make it into the movie.
Yeah.
And that's when people will go home and be like, I had this idea and I just wanted to work it out myself and I brought it in. What do you think? And you go like, that's amazing.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, you're like, that's great. Let's do it. Or you'd be like, that's great, but it doesn't quite fit for what we're doing for this thing. It's awesome, but it's not going to work for this.
Okay, so on that topic, who's it most heartbreaking to give the bad news to? Actors, writers, animators, production design. Who do you have the hardest time going like, that is so funny, but is it actors?
Yes, that's the hardest part because we're trying to please them
Right.
so much.
Right.
And also, if their creativity feels diminished,
Right.
then they lose whatever that thing is that makes it awesome.
It's so precarious.
An early lesson. Remember when we asked Rob Riggle, who's the most amazing guy, just take it down a tiny bit. And then he did a take and it was boring. And then the next take we were like, I will never say that to you again.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Go for it.
Yeah.
Bring your heart and your life and everything. And I'm sorry I ever said that.
And I think if you have an attitude of, we're going to try it this way, we're going to try it that way, we won't have options in the edit. Because we're two of us, if we have a disagreement about how the scene should be or how something should be, we have multiple takes. We'd be like, okay, let's do it this way.
Yeah.
And then let's do it that way. And as long as everybody knows that we're going to try a bunch of stuff and it's not about what they're doing, it's just about having options in the edit room, I feel like actors get a lot more comfortable being like, we're going to play around. And if they really trust that you're not going to pick the bad take. That's
Yes,
the biggest
yes,
thing
yes,
for an
yes.
actor is that they have to feel like I can fail in a take and I'm not going to be afraid that it's going to show up on screen and make me look.
You're not going to hang anyone out to
Yeah.
dry. That's the part of your career that gets easier is that you have the product to make people feel safe.
Right.
So if I've seen all your movies and no one looked like an idiot, I at least know going in like, okay, take David O. Russell. You can't find a bad performance in any movie he's ever made. You might have seen an actor in something, they were horrendous and you think they can't act. They're in a David O. Russell movie. They're fucking brilliant. Like you could go in there and if he says, put this banana up your ass, it's going to work.
Like, all right.
I bet it's gonna. It seems like it's impossible, but I trust you. I read an interview with Todd Phillips. Todd Phillips' own personal take on comedy is it has to be dangerous or it's not funny. I personally subscribe to that hugely.
Predictability is not funny. You want to be surprised, right? And so being dangerous is like you're on the edge of your seat. And I think comedy and horror are very similar. They're like eliciting an auditory response that was not planned. You're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And it works or it doesn't.
Oh, of course.
You laugh
yeah.
or you don't, you scream or you don't. I think part of that is feeling uncomfortable and tension and then the release of that tension.
Yeah, I try to explain to my little girls because they're 7 and 9, and it's like, what's comedy? And I say, well, I think in the purest form, right, it's just when the unexpected happens. And so they're supposed to climb the staircase normally, but boy, God, they've fallen down and now they're,
That's not how it's supposed to work. Especially if they're grown up.
Don't put a shoe on your head. Shoes don't go on your head. They go on your feet.
Well, also, kids are trying to figure stuff out all the time. So their whole life is about, does the shoe go on your head? So when you play with that,
Yes.
it's really satisfying.
it is.
You're worried about that too? So am I.
Do you guys have comedy directing heroes?
Oh, man. I mean, the Coens have always been up there for us.
Hal Ashby.
Oh, sure.
We just showed this movie, The Landlord, at the Cinematheque.
I haven't seen
It's
that.
his like first movie.
Oh,
I really
really?
recommend it.
He was an editor, right?
Academy Award-winning editor.
He did Harold and Maude, which is a movie that Bill and I bonded over.
Greatest movie as a kid. What an anthem for the outcast, right?
Oh my God. I saw it when I was way too young to
Me
see
too.
it.
My dad would watch it.
My dad told me and my sister, who was even younger, to watch it.
I saw Scarface in the theater with my grandpa, and we're the same
boy.
age.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's great. What did you think?
Oh my God, when they cut the guy up with the chainsaw in the bathroom, I was just like, oh my God, that's the world we live in. Like, people get cut up.
Yeah, were you scared?
Terrified. It changed my worldview.
I think it really did.
You were like, look at how happy this guy is. He's rich.
I should get rich.
True.
I need guns. I need yayo. I need to get rich. Yeah, I think it was like, I better get fit. Like,
Because you never know when someone's coming in the window with a
world's
chainsaw.
dangerous.
Yeah, that's so true. But Ashby, one of the things he does that I love is if there's a plane going overhead during a take, he just rolls.
Sure.
And he just puts it in the movie.
Or like as an editor, like the scene's over and then one person leaves and then you're with the other person and they like open the fridge and pour a glass of orange juice and then take a sip and then he gets the scene and you're like, why did we do that? It's just weird.
And the other thing he'll do is in Harold and Maude, there's a long conversation that is continuous. And across a sentence, he changes locations. Oh. And they continue the thought in the new place.
Oh my God.
And it's amazing. So, like, the story is on track. The emotions are huge. And somehow I can still be really loose with the form.
What attracted us to that type of stuff is like it's doing something new and trying something different and always like trying to push the boundaries of what has been done and what can be done and what people think of a film. If you're just doing something that feels like, oh, this is a good version of one of these things that we've seen 100 times before, it's very boring. But if it's a thing that hasn't been done before, it gets very exciting for us.
We are attracted to novel stuff. We
Absolutely.
Like new, novel, unexpected, dopamine.
So you ran the room for Last Man on Earth?
No, we produced it and
That's
directed.
Forte.
That's like the mind of Will Forte. We came up with the idea together. Yeah. He's a brilliant genius and very, very, very particular.
Right.
And that show is so him.
He might be my favorite comedian that works.
Very, very
he's
funny.
so
He
brilliant.
cracks us up.
He's so goddamn authentic. It's insane. How do you assist somebody in doing that?
So, Forte, we've known since he was a writer.
In the 70s show?
Yeah, he was on 70s show as writing. And we met him. He did a bit at the Aspen Comedy Festival where he and this guy, Mike Schwartz, all they did was say the words, "Ain't no party like an Otis Day party, because an Otis Day party don't quit."
Okay.
For 10 minutes straight.
Beautiful.
With different inflection.
Yeah.
He was at the Growlings, and we would see him there, and he was doing wild sketches, just repeating an idea or a word.
Yeah.
And often at the end of the show, in case people decided to leave,
They could walk out and
they
it'll
could
be
just
fine.
walk out and they wouldn't miss anybody else's sketches. And so we loved him so much, and we were friends, and we were like, oh, you should be the lead of our only chance to have our own television show, Clone High. So we cast him and got him his SAG card.
Wonderful.
To me, his specialty is he does abstract comedy, but from a deep place of emotional need. All of his
Vulnerability,
characters
yeah.
have to get the spelling bee word right.
Yes.
Tim
yes.
Calhoun
Oh, I was just about to
wants
say.
to be the president so bad. Right? Like MacGruber wants to be MacGyver so bad.
Yes.
So it's both. It's like high abstract art comedy and it's like deep emotional acting. We just saw ourselves as like the midwives of that show. We pitched him the idea that we had knocking around about a feature where we were like, if there was an apocalypse, we would be so bad at it. And then he went away, came back with the best pitch I've ever seen for a television show. And he just went through the episodes. He's like, I'm alone. And then I pray for a woman and then I meet her. And then we get married. And even though it's a big compromise, and then I meet another person and it's like January Jones or something. So it's immediately like an emotional dilemma
Smoke
for a
show.
super selfish person to go through.
Oh my God. I want to rewatch it just
Me
thinking
too.
about it.
And so our thing was like, oh, I think we can bring out the thing that we love about Will.
Right,
It was
right.
such a perfect pairing.
We had him on like 5 minutes after they announced they weren't doing another season. I said, "How are you?" And he's like, "I'm just so relieved because it's too well." Like, you could tell he was
know.
gonna die.
He was going to hurt him. We
Yeah.
were so happy when he didn't have to do another season because I'm like, oh, Will can be healthy again.
Yeah.
And then like 3 months later, you're like, look at this person. He's healthy, unrecognizable.
Let's never get this show back on
Yeah.
the air.
Oh my God. I hope this isn't offensive. I don't think it is. It's meant to be a compliment.
Yes.
When you walked in, I had never seen you guys. I imagine you to be much older.
We are old.
We are,
No, because you've done so much and you've worked with so many people and you've just been around and in the ether that I imagined you to be like in your 60s.
I got the strings put in.
Okay, you look great.
They work.
This is Lego hair. I could just pop it off.
Okay, perfect.
But their names don't help in that.
Right, old man names.
Lord and Miller sounds like a gentleman's,
Department store.
yeah, Lord and Taylor, but also like where you might get a bespoke suit made.
We have a haberdashery on the
Yeah.
side.
Oh,
And
great.
Phil is like a guy you play racquetball with.
That's true.
Phil. Is that your Cuban mother? Like, he's going to be as
Felipe.
American as... Oh, Felipe.
Yeah, the name works well in both. Well, it's beautiful in at least one language. Philip is lovely.
That's nice.
Got one L. It's very
Yeah,
elegant.
that's nice.
Philip.
But you know what I mean? Like, they come up all the time on the show.
Yeah,
it just
yeah.
feels like,
They're institutions.
yeah.
Okay, now I need to go to... It's an enormous paradigm shatter Lego. I don't know how one thinks of that. I mean, just visually. Now you take it for granted because we've all seen 25 of them and we know all about it and there's TV shows, whatever. And it's a given that that would be a way to animate. It's already that far away from it that it seems like it's a given. It's really unimaginable. It's a crazy
Yeah.
breakthrough-y idea and I want to know how it came about.
You just mean like the idea of like the stop motion Lego
Yes.
approach. So there's a movie called The Magic Portal, which I think is the first quote unquote brick film.
Okay.
From like the 80s.
Yeah, it's like 79 or something.
And it's real stop motion.
And it's proper stop motion. It's somebody in their basement, and there's all these really groovy effects in it. I think it took like somebody in Australia like 2 years to make.
Yeah.
It's like half an hour.
Family life was great.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of time on my hands right now. And it was the first person to really make a movie that way. And so when we got approached to work on it, we thought, well, this is just a giant commercial for a big company.
Yeah.
And soulless, so that's why we want to do it.
We said no at first.
Well, you guys had just left the Taco Bell movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
If I remember correctly.
We're working hard on this Velveeta shells and cheese movie.
It's
And
more about that Chihuahua spokesperson.
But we said, well, we got an idea for it, but we'll write it, but we won't direct it. But then we're like, well, if you did do it like one of these brick films like people make in their basement, and you made it look like it was stop motion where everything was made of Lego, even the smoke and the water and everything, that would be cool. I don't think they would let us do that, but it would be the only way to make it not be embarrassing. And so then we said, okay, we'll direct it, but only if you let it do it this way.
Wow.
And they did.
Who was it that went
It was
for that?
Warner Brothers. They were worried because, you know, movies need acting, right? And you need to empathize with the character. And these characters have like cylinder heads. They can't even clap because their arms like don't go that way.
Yeah.
They've got claw hands.
But then you just lean into it in these amazing
Yes.
ways.
Well, our whole thing was like the limitations are part of the pleasure of watching
Exactly.
it. That seeing the cleverness of how people solve problems. Just how do I get this character to clap? So they just like twist their wrists
Yeah.
like that, and we
Right.
play like sound effects of them clapping,
It's
and it works.
brilliant.
And how do I get them to just pick something up? Just the problem solving is so fun to watch, and that adds a whole fun layer. The other thing is, how could we make this like posh toy from Denmark into an agent of democracy?
Yeah.
The idea being like, these things are everywhere. They're going to outlast the human race, but they're also like great little tools for creativity that everybody has in their house. What if you made a movie that felt like the way a kid makes a movie in their head? Can it feel DIY?
Yeah.
And it's this big movie from Warner Brothers, but it looks like, you know, like somebody animated it by hand at home.
And we were very insistent. If this feels like it came from a company, it is going to fail. If it feels like it came from the Lego group or from Warner Brothers,
Yeah.
it's going to have a stink on it and people are going to hate it.
But you also were clever in the casting of it. This gets done well occasionally, which is like you have a tone, you see the risk that this tone runs, and then you counter program it with who you put in it. Like it's like having a serious movie that could be saccharine, but you have the comedians be serious, or vice versa. You know, you put fucking De Niro in Meet the Parents. You know, like there's ways to be artful about how you're going to address potential problems by who you cast.
Right.
So like the cast was so edgy. It's like all the greatest comedians, and they're going to lend their cumulative edge to this thing that could potentially seem too goofy and bright and
Right.
stop motiony.
Absolutely. You wanted to feel like it was part of like the alt comedy scene.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you want to feel like, I can't believe they let them get away with doing this.
That's
Well,
what
at
it
the
felt
time,
like.
it was wild to have Chris Pratt be the star of a
Right.
big movie.
He had never started anything. He was like the sixth banana on Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
He owes you guys everything.
For sure.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for more Armchair Expert, if you dare.
occasionally I'll watch something and it's so good that I'm jealous in a way that makes me want to go do something.
Happens all
fired
the
up.
time. All the time.
Yeah, so like what's something recently?
I was really excited by the crazy filmmaking that the Daniels did in Everything Everywhere All at Once.
I haven't seen it yet.
Bonkers.
I've heard.
It is like so ridiculous. It's nuts, but it's like
Really?
very innovative filmmaking, I thought, that I think it's worth checking out.
I can't wait to see it. It happens to me with Danny McBride. So first I was just jealous of Danny McBride.
Who's worse, him or Mike Schur? I can't tell.
Him. I'll tell you why, because he's happy as a motherfucker doing it. I watch his stuff and I go, oh my God, I want to make Righteous Gemstones. Like I'll get that feeling, you know?
I know. And he's coming from a place of warmth and kindness and like understanding of people's frailty, even though he's always playing an asshole. He's one of the lead voices in Mitchell's versus the Machines.
Oh.
And so we went down
To South Carolina.
to record him. And so the first record, we all went down and did it together. And he was so gracious and took us in like, he's got like a setup where like he takes a golf cart from his house to this incredible restaurant. And
The little island he lives
the
on.
little island, he's
Yeah.
the mayor of the whole place. And I was like, what are you doing? You guys all moved here, you maniacs? And he was like, here's the thing. What if all the music only came from 2 cities? They only came from like LA and New York. There would be no Memphis blues.
No
There would be
Motown.
no like New Orleans jazz. There would be no Afro-Cuban music. There would be nothing. And so why do movies or TV shows have to come from 1 or 2 places? We get to make it here. Not only are we training the next wave of people who wouldn't have had this chance, right?
Yeah.
There's local crew that are like getting lit up, and somebody great is going to come out of that if they haven't already, right?
The pilot of that show looks like Scorsese made
Oh
it.
my
It's
God, it's
insane.
incredible.
Yes, they're doing an incredible
Right?
job.
And then it has the gestalt and voice of the
zhuzh.
place in
It's
which
very
it's
unique.
made, and it makes it its own thing. And I have thought about that just about every day since he said it.
What a great analogy, because if I had to sum it up, I'd say that his shows are like albums. They feel analog. I can feel the rhythm. He's got nasty taste in music. I just
my
love
God,
all the
yeah.
music selection. Yeah, and he's happy,
And he's happy.
and they're having fun, and they don't deal
There's
with
like a fun cycle when you have like professional jealousy, right?
Yeah.
I remembering watching season 2 of Fleabag
We were just talking about that
and
today.
going like, God damn, Phoebe, shut up.
Oh.
You're so good.
I hate her too. You asked
I
about the
love her.
Grudges.
Yes, yes.
Catherine Harris, former Secretary of State, Florida. Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Danny McBride, Mike Schur. This is
She's the greatest person also, but like this cycle of going like, I'll never be able to do something that is this well observed and is like innovative in all these ways. A couple days of just hating myself and then coming back and going like, no, I'm going to do something. And it just motivates to like, I don't want to do something that's been done 100 times before. I just want
Yeah.
to do something.
You want to give this
new
someone
and
the
interesting.
experience that you have when you're watching Fleabag. You're
Right.
like, whoa. Okay, now, you guys have the very best taste in comedians, period. Outside of the fact that you've never hired me, but let's just let that slide.
Yeah, maybe the second best taste.
Yeah. But the after party, they put some bucks behind the P&A. Like, I want to say a Super Bowl is the first time I saw a fucking commercial for
I
that.
wish. That would be great. No.
Oh, it was a playoff game, though.
Oh, yes, the playoff game.
It
yes.
was. Like the last playoff game.
Yeah.
I was like, that's a pricey little ad right there.
There you go.
You've assembled every one of my favorite, like, third on the call sheet actors of the last 10 years.
We had only worked with a couple of them, but they were all people we'd been fans of and wanted to work with.
And
for a
that
while.
ad is very specifically designed just to show you, like,
Remember this
Firepower.
person?
8 faces.
You know her. Remember him? Remember her?
Yeah.
You might not know everyone's name, but you know that face and that face and that face, and you want them to be together.
And they're funny.
Yeah.
But also feels like kind of what you did with Lego, which is like it feels all like it's like if you're in the scene, then it's like I know all those people. You feel like you're in the club.
Right. It's like not everybody is a household name, but everybody steals the show of the thing that they came from.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where do we even start? Ike Barinholtz.
Very, very, very funny. So sweet. So
I've
funny.
repeated a joke he told us on here, probably more than any other joke I've heard in the last decade, which was his writing partner is not Jewish and he is Jewish. He says it all the time. Any pitch meeting, he'll go, you know, Mike lost his great-great-grandfather in the Holocaust. Fell off a guard tower. What a joke.
That's a very Ike joke.
Ike was so valuable in part because he is such a patient, good person on a show like that where everybody's great. There are days when, like, in a 10-person scene, you wait. And
Yeah.
then it's the end of the day and we're rushing. And love you so much, Ike. We've got 3 takes, maybe 2, to get all your shit in a close-up.
Or we're all working next Sunday.
And he had like 3 or 4 things ready to rock that all belonged in the show so that you couldn't decide which one.
It was a great thing about that cast was that every single one of them was like a hyphenate. They all had like
Yes.
made their own stuff, written things, produced things, directed things, whatever.
Yeah.
They all were great improvisers and had lots of great ideas. They were all really smart, and so they could all bring so much to every scene. And when they would add things or had ideas for things, it wasn't the type of thing where it's like, this is never going to make it.
Yeah, that
into
was
the
serving
thing.
the
Right.
story.
It wasn't
Right.
gratuitous.
Because it's a murder mystery, and
You can't improvise that.
the clockwork of it has to be very precise. You're hiding information and you're dealing out information very intentionally. And they all could understand what was going to work or not work for the whole thing because they had been on the other side of it creatively. They knew the lanes, like Ike, obviously great at this sort of thing, like find the lane that this is going to be good stuff that can make it into the show.
Yeah, that's on story, that's
Right.
relevant, that's not a non sequitur.
What's so great is that like every single one of these people cracks everybody up on the set. It was a really joyous experience making
bet.
that show because you just got 12 of the funniest people and any one of them could be the star of their own show and they're all together like cracking each other up.
It almost neutralizes things, right? Because egos and personalities, they're tricky on sets. I've seen this a bunch. My wife's been in some of these. Like, everyone knows this person's making $21 million for this
Right.
movie. There's just very weird dynamics. I've been in movies where, like, I'll give you an example. I was in this movie, The Judge. So you got Robert Downey Jr., you got Robert Duvall, you got Billy Bob Thornton, you got Vincent D'Onofrio. You have all these guys. Some of them, I'm not going to say who, but some people have bad reputations. And then they get together and it's just like, it's just neutral. Because everyone's a bad motherfucker. Everyone's got nukes. And everyone just behaves. There's like some symphony to it.
They all
Right.
have nukes.
Very
Like,
funny.
everyone knows, like, if Duvall starts acting bratty, it's like he's standing next to Iron Man. He's going to feel stupid. Vice versa, go down the line.
But have you ever been on one of those shows where it just escalated? A friend of ours was trying to make a movie, and one of the people was like a once-in-a-generation star.
Yeah.
The other one was also a huge star, and the older big star was like 2 hours late.
Okay, yeah.
So
yeah.
the slightly younger big
no.
star was like, fuck it, I'm going to be 3 hours late. And they just kept topping each other.
God.
Oh, there's so many great stories. I've gotten to sets and I like, where's my trailer? And I was like, oh, that's a big, nice trailer, blah, blah. And then I get there the next day and it's like, oh, there's 2 really nice big trailers. Like, someone obviously went up the flagpole.
You're like,
And then like 3 weeks later, there's a 3rd really nice trailer. And you're thinking like, am I supposed to call someone and say
So
like,
where's the hotline for the
More
trailer
trailers. I like to spread my legs.
On that show, because we were shooting during the pandemic, pre-vaccine, it was the first time anybody had left their house.
Wow.
And so nobody went to their trailer. Everyone would just hang out. And so it was just like, I can be around another human being that isn't my family, and this is amazing for me. It was like going to camp or something. It was really fun.
I would guess this is the best part of your guys' success. The obvious thing would be like, oh, they can probably get the stuff made they want to make. That's really nice. Everyone wants to be able to do that. But in truth, I'd imagine the fact that you guys can pretty much play with anyone you want to play with, and that you get to be behind the monitors watching people you're just fans of that you've collected. I have to imagine that's the very best part of having lots of
The
success.
most exciting thing is watching someone you like and admire get an idea spontaneously and it's captured. And you're like, the feeling I have is relief. Because I'm like, oh God, we got something.
She figured it out
We
for
got
us.
a nibble. Like, we have a thing. And now if we get like a couple of these things a day, then we'll have a whole darn movie or a whole
Yeah.
great TV show. Happened yesterday. There was a reshoot
Oh, yeah.
for a movie that we're producing. Additional photography, just like a quick pickup.
This is a 4-week quick pickup.
Just 6 weeks.
A Marvel pickup.
Exactly.
Boy, and it was like, everyone was grouchy. It was like a 14-hour day. And then the cameras roll and these 3 boys just start yelling at each other in the funniest way. And everything was okay.
Yeah. It's the wind in the sails. It's like, oh, right. If all this stuff goes right, you get to see people do something you've never seen or heard.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
And
Unexpected.
it is great that they trust that you're not going to pick the bad takes and you're going to protect them. And then they're like comfortable trying stuff out. And that's where you get the best stuff.
Yeah. And it's a compliment to you.
It is.
To be trusted by people who are scared is a really beautiful thing.
Yeah, you're very exposed as an actor and it's out of your control. And that's terrifying.
It's a weird job, and creative people and anxious people and socially anxious people correlate very strongly.
Yeah.
So now you're putting someone who really cares. Like, literally, the reason they're a good actor is they have a lot of mirror neurons
Yep.
that are
Yeah.
really good at picking up what other people think and feel.
Spidey senses through the
Right?
roof.
So
yeah.
now it's like, okay, now there's 50 people looking at me, and all I can hear is my brain screaming about whether they like me or not.
Yeah.
And I'm supposed to ignore that
Yeah.
and pretend to be a doctor or something.
And one of the best things that we ever did was before doing 21 Jump Street, we took an acting class.
Oh, no shit.
And it was terrible.
We belong behind the
Behind the camera.
As James Caan once told me.
Oh,
He was the voice in Cloudy the Chance of Meatballs.
Okay.
He was the dad.
Two funny James Caan stories. He's really great in the movie, but he was disappointed that he wasn't, I want to be like an alligator or something. Be like a funny alligator. And so he was like a little miffed that he didn't get to do more silly
Tough guy stuff?
Yeah, he wanted to do some silly stuff. And he wanted someone to read with him, so I read with him, and he was like, you should stay behind the camera. Like, Chris, right, do the next scene. Then he did a scene with his son, Flint.
Bill Hader.
Played by Bill Hader.
opposite energies.
Very opposite energies. We had them, I think, over ISDN. They were in different cities, but doing the scene at the same time over a microphone. And they did a take, and you know how in a microphone people get really quiet.
Yeah.
So he was doing it real quiet. We said, you know, you guys are across the yard from one another. This is 30, 40 feet. So if you could project your voice, they'll be okay. You haven't animated this, right? No. But we started, but okay, no problem. Go ahead. Flint, come over here. I don't want to yell.
My God. Oh my God. Wow.
Jimmy Caan's one of my very favorite actors of all time.
He is amazing.
Thief is probably my favorite movie,
all
period.
time.
Such a great film.
Michael Mann's first-
film, yeah.
And best. He has a scene in that movie in
At the
first
diner?
act, at the diner. It's I think
I'm out of
4
time.
setups. It's 10 minutes long. It starts with literally he just like yanked her out of a car.
Yeah, very
and
violent.
She's so fucking pissed. They hate each other. The coffee's bad. And at the end of the scene, she agrees to marry him.
Yes.
It's one of the best
Yes.
written scenes.
Does not make any sense at all.
And we did the scene in our acting class.
No.
Do you remember that?
No.
It was one of the scenes that we sort of learned from and had to like break down every move.
And the crazy thing is you realize how vulnerable you are as an actor and how if someone gives you a note that feels like it's getting to you personally, you're like, oh, they don't like me as a person.
Very thin line between the
Yes.
product and you.
I'm
yeah.
so glad you guys did that.
And it was like, oh, I have been doing this all wrong. It was really eye-opening to put yourself in those shoes.
I think a lot of people who watch actors or like watch movies are like, I could do that. I could do this. Like, you probably could do it in your living room
Right.
with nobody watching you, with no direction, like knowing how to hit your mark.
You just did it perfect, and they figured out that the light was 2
Exactly.
feet to the wrong way, and now you have a shadow on your face. So throw that out.
That's acting, not
all-
being able to like just emote.
And you get tired physically.
Yes.
Because you're like concentrating so much.
Yes.
That was one thing I don't think I understood. I was like, why are they so tired?
They're saying words.
They say words and then they take like a 40-minute break. We do voices on Clone High, so like we'll sometimes have to be behind a microphone, which is like 4 straight hours
Yeah.
of creativity and concentrating
being
and
on.
being anxious. And I like can't put 2 words together. So it's exhausting. So I think a lot about basketball players. They can be awesome for 7 minutes and then they need a break. It's about confidence. You know, and if you like miss, you just need to watch something go in and then you get better.
Jordan, if he doesn't make that shot in North Carolina, we don't know if
Right.
he's Jordan.
Right.
So we have tickets where we get to watch Ty Lue, the coach of the Clippers, like do his thing and be an awesome coach. And the thing that's so remarkable about him is he's relentlessly positive. And it's not that he's not mad or annoyed. He has the best, like, stinky cheese face in the lead.
Okay.
But then the minute he gets in the huddle, he's like, these are the affirmative, positive things we're going to do. These are the points we've already put on the board. It's all positive.
That's
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
Yeah, we interviewed Pete Carroll, and he was very much that way.
Yeah, he's very positive.
And it
guy.
was encouraging. I don't know. Do you guys have this? Like, I'll hear a story about Inritu. Mm-hmm. Well, I've heard many stories, and I'll go, yeah, I'll probably never be a great director because I just can't do it. I can't make Birdman.
You have to do it within your personality. That guy, he's got like cool, like salt and pepper flowing locks, right? And like a cool beard. He can yell at you and be like, okay, man, yeah, I will do that. If this was the Crusades, he could march me wherever he wanted me to go. We look like virgins.
Well,
We can't do that.
you're actually hot as fuck. You know that. Many times I've been thinking people must have told you look like Heath Ledger.
I've gone through some
I can see
stages.
that, yeah.
There was a Heath Ledger stage.
Sure.
There was a Fred Savage.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, yeah.
And then about a 5-year Emile Hirsch in the film Milk.
Specifically in Milk.
Only
Okay.
in Milk.
Yeah. This comparison does not apply outside the confines of Milk. I'm seeing a lot of Heath Ledger.
Now, I got that the other day. Came back.
Yeah, you're so good looking, it's distracting.
Distracts me every day, guys.
How do you do it?
I don't know.
Oh, and people hate when I say people look like each other. This is a new complaint.
Maybe
I'm
3
sorry.
people
I
hate
think
that.
maybe 1 or 3 people
Yeah.
said that.
I feel like if someone said I look like Heath Ledger, I wouldn't be sad about it.
Right.
Thank you. I have a friend. Should I out him? He'll love it. My friend Kevin Zegers. He was Air Bud as a kid. He's a great actor.
Oh, yeah.
Really, really fucking good actor. There was at least a period where he looked a lot like Zac Efron. And he actually said to me, he's like, oh, if I hear I look like Zac Efron one more time, I go, oh, boo, fucking
Oh,
who?
so sad for you.
Oh, what a bummer. You look like
Tough guy,
Zac
yeah.
Efron.
Must be tough.
Oh.
Hard life.
Okay. So, given that you guys can work with who you want to,
Will you hire us?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
I think especially for us, like who knows way too well how much the sausage is made.
Right.
When you do get that. Also, Severance. I don't know if you guys watched Severance.
Watch Severance.
Oh,
We loved it.
The Lumen building is Bell Labs in New Jersey, which was where basically every invention was made.
yes.
And now is like an office park with, like a mall with restaurants in it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I went there because my wife is from New Jersey. It was there over the holidays, like Christmas
Her
time.
uncle is Michael Eisner.
Yeah, right. very much not. Very much not.
What if you let
I
that up?
wish so
That would be
bad we
amazing.
could.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
My wife, Katie Eisner, and I.
That would be amazing. But no, we met some friends at a bar in the Bell Labs building. And I was like, why hasn't no one ever shot something in here? This place is
crazy.
amazing. The design
Really?
of it's incredible. I was like, we got to think of something to set here. And then, like, a couple months later, I watched the first episode of Severance. And I was like, all right.
It
all right.
feels
They did
so
it. They did it.
Soviet era.
Yeah. Anyway, point is Apple TV Plus, where also the after party is.
There we
They're
go.
friggin' killing it, guys. They're killing it.
Yes.
There we go.
Good bedfellows. It is tricky. Imagine when you guys signed up to do After Party on Apple Plus. You're still trying to figure out like which one of the people had deals at this weird name and I won't say that weird name, and you're hoping they have something that pops and that you're not going to put this thing into the fucking ether.
Yeah, I mean, that's the fear. Obviously, you're like, is this a real place to make things?
Right.
Yeah.
But they were the place that seemed to get it the most. It's a ambitious show, because every episode is told in a different film style, right? And so one's a musical, one's a thriller, and one's an action thing. And so you have to be able to do a proper car chase and fist fight and dance number. There's an animated one and all that stuff. It's expensive.
yeah.
It's not like just like a regular show where you're like, we built a set and we can just say some stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every episode is like a little movie. And they were the ones who really understood that to do it right required to take it seriously. It seemed like the best place because, doing it somewhere else, they were like, we'll try it. And you have to like do a half-assed version of a car chase. That would have been a bummer.
Yeah.
I feel nice when something's been curated for me and I go like, oh, somebody who's really smart picked specific things. That's like a great luxury.
It's not a junk drawer of like,
It's
we're
not just
throwing
like,
a bunch
here's
of spaghetti at
everything.
the wall. Yeah.
You decide.
Yeah, you're right. You don't get fatigued just going through the
Catalog, right.
offerings.
Right. You're like, what does this thing have for me today?
Yeah.
My friend Callie works for Netflix.
It's great. They have a lot of great stuff too.
Yeah.
Thank you. She's the one that loved Clone High.
There you go. Excellent taste.
Great taste.
Excellent taste.
Great
I always said that about Callie.
Okay, so everybody should watch the After Party, and they should watch it on Apple Plus. And to your delight, you'll be starting it, and most of them are out. You can rip through.
It's all
Oh,
out.
yeah, you can
And in
binge
fact,
that bad boy.
We're starting a season 2, and so there you go.
Oh, you are? When do you start that?
May 12th.
That's not a real date.
Yeah. I just made it up. That sounds like a number.
May
May 47th.
It's May 42nd.
Well, you guys would be fools not to put Monica Minnie Mouse in it. She is a spectacular
what.
comedian,
Wow.
so
True fact.
let's get her in there. If you're not too afraid of sex appeal, that's what I'll say.
You know,
Yeah.
I can get a wig on.
Downplay it.
Yeah, sure.
We've made the worst sex scenes
I agree. We're
Tell me.
total
in the whole
prudes.
world. We made a sex scene with Forte and Shaw where, because it was on a broadcast network,
Oh, yes.
the standards and practices ruled that they could not move.
No thrusting.
If there was any movement, it was considered thrusting.
The bit was just that they stayed perfectly still, and she was really into it. And the second he moved a bit, she goes, no, 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 no. And then they just perfectly still.
Oh, that's perfect, though.
This is your
Yes.
brand. It's like you isolate the limitation and then you make the whole
You
thing about the
exploit
limitation.
it. That's
Yeah.
what's so great.
It's sex jokes written by virgins.
You turn lemons into lemonade.
Oh, I love it.
Okay, well, guys, this was really fun getting to know you.
Oh, likewise.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so fun. Thanks for coming.
Humongous fan.
You're in the Mike Schur category.
Also likewise.
I love
Of
it.
hated
That's
person.
right. That's right. Of the hated guests.
Intimidated and excited for the next project and hoping you guys die in a bus crash before you do even more. What's the next big, humongous thing you guys are doing? Are you doing like a feature
We're
world?
doing a sequel to the Spider-Verse movie.
Okay. That was excellent. Nicolas Cage. We don't know.
We'll just let some secrets stay secrets.
Okay, great,
Yeah.
great. You guys have to go to Comic-Con and do that whole thing? And
We do usually go to Comic-Con for that stuff.
are you scared when you're there?
I had a real change of opinion on it because the first time I went, I was like, oh my gosh, look how excited everybody gets about this stuff. I don't feel this kind of joy in my life. And it was scary to me that people felt that kind of joy.
Yeah. You don't trust it.
Yeah, it's like when my kids, the ice cream truck would come by and they'd lose their brains.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't get excited about anything, let alone like sugar water on a stick.
Yeah.
And look how happy and excited they are. So the first time I was like, I can't relate to this. And then I realized this is great, that there is a thing that people are excited about and have so much joy. They're going to wait in line and dress up like something. And they've gotten in touch with that sort of youthful
Yeah.
joy.
It's pure.
And I wish
That's
I knew
pure.
how to feel that
And
way.
I wish I was
Yeah.
not that dead inside.
That's
Yeah.
right.
And like it's in there, you know, like we love all the same stuff they love. I just don't know how to express it in
Yeah.
the way that they know how to.
You're
express
afraid it goes back to Cloudy.
Exactly.
You're nervous that if you
I've
show
got the armor. Yeah.
What the fuck just happened?
Oh,
Your
man.
chair break?
Uh-oh.
Liquid death.
Just
down.
some liquid death.
If you were caught being that joyous, someone might attack you
Oh
and
yeah.
make fun of
it's
you.
too
Pants.
vulnerable. I can't be vulnerable.
Yeah,
armor.
that's what it
I'm
is.
gonna do a dance and.
I love it.
excited.
It's a Super Bowl. It's like their Super Bowl.
Do you guys cry at flash mobs? What are they called?
I like when people.
Oh, do something together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Olympians one time made a video on their way to Rio or something, and it was "Call me maybe, here's my number," and they all choreographed it
It's
on
like
the
a
airplane
synchronized
ride.
dance.
I cry when I see it because I think the world's so hard to be
sincere and earnest.
and beautiful in.
Yeah.
and,
And for
they've
people
done
to
it.
come into sync. To me, that's what's so beautiful about it.
The choreography.
They do the same thing at the same time.
Yeah.
And that's so beautiful to me and so difficult. Isn't there like an airline safety video?
Oh, yeah.
But into the dance.
That thing makes
Yeah.
me cry maybe because I'm
Amazing.
like at altitude.
Yeah.
One of the things we've discovered is that like what's spectacular isn't people being in conflict and getting in a fight. What's spectacular is seeing them in harmony. Because we know what we're in conflict every second, and every once in a while we're in harmony. And if you can put that on screen, I think it's really special.
Yeah, I do too. All right. Well, I like you guys.
We like you.
Thank you.
Can't wait to continue to listen at 1.5 speed.
Yeah, it's a long show, but 1.5
I'm
speeds.
more of a
I tell you what.
1.25 guy.
Sometimes I
Yeah.
talk really fast, though. Sometimes you're never listening for me. It's the guest.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
You know, we fast forward.
Who do we have who was
It really
so
is 1.25 to be
Russell
honest.
Brand.
Oh, we had Russell Brand on. People thought they were accidentally listening.
Ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-boom.
You got to listen on half speed.
It's insane. It's impressive. Love you guys.
Now my favorite part of the show, the fact check with my soulmate, Monica Padman.
Hi.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Buddy.
I know.
Oh, no. Are we going to talk about it?
But yeah, I guess we could talk about it. Okay, I'm going to walk you through it.
Okay, great.
My journey.
You look, okay, I wish the listener could see you. You look like a baby, okay? You look even smaller and chubbier than the little girl in the field.
Chubby?
Not
oh, no.
really, just your cheeks look, because you know you look, you're droopy-eyed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm really sweaty.
Now you look hot. Let's just start there. And then now that we're there, let's also say you look droopy.
Droopy. Yeah, I am. So I woke up
What
and
time?
I
What time?
felt great. This is yesterday.
Okay.
I felt great. Let's say 8:30. Mm-hmm. Then it was time for my walk, my coffee walk.
Okay.
So on my walk there, I was like, I don't feel great.
Sure.
But that could have been a million. I don't feel great a lot, you know?
Yeah, we all are up and down. And your flies are coming tomorrow.
Exactly. So this is compounding everything, I think.
I'm even going to go a step further. I bet between your vaccine and whatever else, you probably just would have killed it all on its entry. But the fact that your immune system's reduced because of your flies,
Exactly.
it's losing the fight enough to get positive.
I know. That is why I think I feel so bad. Where like, we know a lot of people who've had it who they're like, it just kind of felt like a head cold. Mine does not. It feels like a flu.
Okay.
But that could be because of my flies. And that's so disrespectful of them. Like, it's not a good time for them to come.
Yeah, did it cross your mind to go back on your pill, fuck up your whole cycle, but just go back on?
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. You know me, I'm always trying to hack the body.
I know.
You know what
I know
is
you
funny? But I don't know why I think this is funny. All my conservative friends, like I have a bunch in Nashville and I have a bunch in Michigan, they already had it. You know, they had it like 8 months ago or whatever. It's like the liberals' turn. Every liberal I know has it. It's like the liberal wave.
Yeah. I think it makes sense because
We're finally acting like the conservatives did 6 months ago.
yeah,
8 months
we're
ago.
like we have to live our lives, and not to mention there's that medicine. So like no one is gonna die.
Right.
So I feel like you know,
yeah.
that's all we can do. Anyway, so then I'm standing in my coffee line and I'm like, yeah, I don't feel great. But then I started to cough a little bit, and then I got self-conscious about my cough in my line.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
I didn't want people to be scared.
It turns out maybe should have been. Could you reenact the cough? I want to know what kind of cough it was.
I was like this.
Okay. Like one dry pop.
Oh, well, actually, now that I'm remembering, I have brain fog.
Sure.
So
Yep.
it was a tickle in my throat. It was one of those things where I needed to keep coughing. I didn't want to keep coughing. It was really uncomfortable.
You capped it at like one pop, but you
Yeah.
wanted to go 3, 4. That's where, you know, I think we're all in this situation. Like when you're on an airplane, the guy behind you, he pop, no problem. But then you hear, now, like on the 4th cough, I'm starting to think infection.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
But you know, I cough a lot just because I'm a mess. My lungs are always
Yeah.
fucked up, whatever. I try to cap mine too, but sometimes I swallow things down the wrong hole on an airplane. And now I'm like 13, 14 coughs. And I'm like, oh, these poor people are convinced I have COVID.
I mean, I've always been a little self-conscious about that. Like when you have a tickle and you can't stop, you know?
Yeah.
But COVID's made it way worse.
That sounds like a euphemism when you have a tickle and you can't stop. That sounds like what Molly would have said, Shannon, to her aunt.
Oh, true. True. Okay, also lots of ding, ding, dings. So this is for Lord and Miller. And, okay, hold on. I'm going back to my story. People are going to have to stick with this because, you know, they're catching me on a sick day.
Yes, that's right. You're
I
not
have
at your
COVID.
best.
Yeah.
What if this whole thing was you had diarrhea? And we thought people understood you had diarrhea, but we failed to mention, no, it's just diarrhea. But no, you have COVID.
Anywho, so then I took a test. I was negative. This was a fallacy that maybe this will help somebody. I thought
since I didn't feel well, if I had it, it would have shown up then.
Yeah.
Like,
I would think
that
that.
should have shown up. And I just thought, oh, okay, great. So, like, it's just a little cold or something. And then as the day went on, like, I just started feeling worse and worse. And then by like 4:30, I was like, oh boy.
This is more than just diarrhea.
No, I didn't have diarrhea. In fact, the opposite. I feel like
Constipated.
a little bit.
Okay. Maybe you'll just have one big dump and then everything will be back hunky-dory. Back to norm.
That's all COVID is.
Yeah, it's constipation. Look, some biologist is going to really, or an infectious disease doctor is going to yell at me in the comments about this, but I think, this is why I think you tested negative. You feel crappy because your body starts fighting this pathogen. It's identified a pathogen. And as it's killing it, it then expels it. And that's when you become contagious, is when you start expelling, they call it, I know what it is, shedding. So you start shedding the illness because you're killing it. And then you start pumping it out the nose, the lungs. No, achoo! All these different, diarrhea.
Oh,
everything.
no,
Get
no
it
diarrhea.
out. Get it out. That's when it's contagious.
I will say, I'm disappointed in myself
Why?
because I just thought I'd be stronger.
Oh, well, you're doing good. You're at work right now.
I know, but I just thought I'd be one of those people that's like, yeah, it's just like a little head cold or asymptomatic.
Yeah, asymptomatic. There's a funny irony in the air.
Oh, about you.
Yeah, this is a funny irony. I'm not proud of it. I didn't do anything special.
I wonder if you're immune.
Maybe. Or like the vax really worked great in me. Obviously, the vax protects the vast majority of people.
I know, but it's gone now. That's the problem. It's out of our systems.
Mine's only 4 months old. I got mine maybe January 8th or 9th, the 3rd.
Oh, okay. So maybe you still have a little bit of that guy in you.
Sure.
Anyway, I'm so glad. You're the person I'm the most worried about because you have an autoimmune disorder.
Right. But I think that helps too because my immune system's overactive. That's why it attacks itself. So I think that also is one of these rare times it's a benefit.
No, I think it's not. They say that people with autoimmune are high risk.
Yeah, remember when they extended it to actors to get the vaccine, so I got to go in there, and then when I got there, I realized I had 2 previous things that would have let me get it, autoimmune and addiction.
Yeah. Also, the autoimmune, today, of course, I was Googling, like, why do some people have worse symptoms than others? And, they're able to do a little bit more
Meta kind of
studies,
analysis. Yeah.
which is cool. One of the thoughts was that some people kind of do that essentially, like their bodies start putting out a lot of this. Oh, this is bad.
You have COVID brain. That's okay.
I really do. I looked it up. Let me read it.
Okay.
It is a fact check after all. Let's see. I'll look at my history.
Oh, that's a great place to start.
Yeah.
You look so adorable. You look like a 1-year-old baby. Do you need anything? Can I drop anything off?
That's really sweet. No, Kristen just dropped off some stuff, which was really nice. I told her not to, but she did it anyway.
Of course, she beat me to it.
The adrenochrome.
No, take double your adrenochrome dose. That's probably why you got it and I didn't, is that I'm on a much bigger dose.
That's true.
Yeah.
I looked at a lot of websites, so I have to see if this is
Any
the one.
pornography?
No.
Okay. Because sometimes when people get sick, if you get really sick, you kind of get horny because your body wants to help you feel better. And so one of the things it deploys is horny molecules. I think people can relate to that. Rob, do you ever get like horny when you're really sick?
Not really, but no.
No, not really, but no.
I was gonna say sometimes when Natalie is sick,
She's horny.
Well, her body's like really warm.
Uh-huh. Oh, you get horny for her when she's sick. Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's cute, Rob.
That's really cute, but also opposite.
It's not helpful. But.
Yeah.
No, I think that's sweet because, that is one thing. Yesterday, my body was it hurt so bad. And I was like, oh, I wish someone would hold me. Yeah.
Yeah, you need a spoon in these stitches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm having trouble finding it.
I can't even imagine you know what you're looking for at this point.
No, I know.
Oh, okay.
Best soup Los Angeles is one of my searches.
Of course.
Yeah.
While you're looking for this will be a fun update. So me and the kids and mom rode to Alcove yesterday here in town. And then a strange man approached Lincoln with great familiarity and my spidey senses popped. And then it was Wobby Wob. And it was a pop out, but I was delighted because it was not an assailant. It was Wobby Wob.
Oh my
So
God.
it was a bumpin'. And of course, he had just come from ding, 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 Maru.
Of course.
Yes.
Of course.
And as I drove by on the bikes, I was like, I'm going to see Rob or Monica in this line. There's no way I'm not gonna. So at any rate, Wobby Wob gave us a hug, high five. He bails. We finish up. Lincoln goes, Mom, your bike was stolen. Sure enough, Mom's bike was stolen. My only two thoughts are, one, Delta spilled a whole Diet Coke on me, so I had to get up and go get more ice. I was gone for a minute. Took my eye off the prize. Could have happened then. Or when Wobby Wob distracted me and I had to hug him. Maybe Wobby Wob was working in tandem.
I had someone with me.
You did? Okay, you were the decoy.
Oh.
And then the thing that a little bit frustrated me is this guy goes, oh, yeah, the white bike? And I go, yeah, I saw a homeless guy grab it and take it. And I'm like, okay, and you didn't think to just go like, hey, is that anyone's bike? Then Lincoln and I sped home on bikes, got the car, went and picked up Delta. Now, a side note, Delta ditched her bike midway there because it was too small for her, as I told her it was, and she was hitting her knees on the handlebars. She went to go to the bigger bike. She finally had to bail out. Then she rode with me holding her. Then she didn't like that. Anyway, a whole Delta, textbook
wow.
Delta. So Lincoln and I blow home. We get the car. We go pick them up, and then we cruise around. I'm like, I'm going down to under the LA River. I see a lot of people storing bikes down there. So I go route through a few encampments, looking at bikes. There's hundreds of bikes down there.
Yeah.
Hers is not there. Then we circle back. Blah blah blah. We find the bike. It's on Hillhurst, leaning against a bush. So I get out and I get the bike, and there's some folks there, some unhoused. And so I tell Kristen, you drive the car. I'll drive this lady's bike home. And then, of course, I got to ask these guys, either you snagged this bike because what was missing, bike, we got it back, recovery, great. But there were 3 Barbies in the basket, and they were gone. And I needed to get those Barbies for Delta. So then I asked if these 2 dudes who were banging back a couple joints, if either of them had snagged the bike. If so, all I'm looking for is the Barbies. This escalated quickly. I had to go full silverback mode. No. They declined my invite. I ended up riding home. I don't think they had the Barbies. It was quite a scenario.
Scary. I didn't know about that part. Yikes.
They're both dead.
Well, this is a ding, ding, ding for the after party. I watched it all last night.
You watched the whole the show, The After Party?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Oh, good.
I really, really, really enjoyed it. I couldn't sleep because of my sickness, so I just watched it.
How fun.
It's good. And then another sim moment. My friend Aiden,
The fellow mermaid,
who I talked about on Molly's episode, she's also in the after party. And I was watching it and she texted me. We don't talk. Like, it's not like we talk every week or anything. And she texted me.
Let's get together and shampoo our hair with herbal essence.
We will.
Oh, God, what a party. Are you watching Under the Banner?
Yeah, I'm caught up.
Oh, I love it.
Oh, my God, I know. Me too.
I love it. I hope everyone watches it. Under the Banner of Heaven on Hulu. Not an ad.
Yeah.
Was that a cough or a sneeze? Oh, there's some symptoms. Real-time symptoms.
Sneezes.
Okay. Your blanket has COVID all over it now. I just saw you kind of...
Yeah. Oh, you know what's one sad thing?
Huh.
I don't have any tissues, so I have to use toilet paper.
Okay.
Oh, boy. Okay.
All right. We're back.
Back on track. So I found the article.
Oh, great.
This says, and there's a lot of false info out there, so preface. It is a .org, but
Yeah, we know that anyone can have that.
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah. This says... One way in which immune cells signal to one another and regulate their responses to pathogens is through the secretion of proteins called cytokines. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. However, in some situations, uncontrolled release of these substances can trigger a, quote, cytokine storm, characterized by excessive inflammation and damage to cells and organs. This is thought to be a key driver of severe COVID-19 illness, which is why many hospitals now use anti-inflammatory drugs. So when you were saying you have a more intense immune system, it's actually bad.
Because it could get into a cytokine storm.
And then I thought maybe that's happening to me because I would have an immune system that tries to overachieve.
Of course, A+. If it's on the table, kill everything. Let God sort it out. Ding,
Exactly.
ding, ding, under the banner.
Oh, wow, yeah. Okay, I'm going to get into some facts. Okay, you said in Cocaine Cowboys that they said the average Federal Reserve cash holdings at any given time, 40 to 50 million in cash.
Yeah, I was just throwing darts at a dartboard here. I don't know what it really was.
Well, okay, yeah, and Florida Federal Reserve had 6 to 7 billion, you said.
right.
So you were just saying there's a bunch bigger.
Yeah, I was trying to say there's like 100x difference between the average and the Florida one.
Yeah. And then, but the problem is now I'm realizing my research is wrong because this isn't cash.
Was it include gold or something?
Well, I don't know, but this says as of April 20th, the Fed's assets stand at 8.96 trillion.
Yeah, I'm talking about like regional federal reserves that deal with the money coming in and out. So the money comes into the state reserve and then gets funneled eventually back up to the main federal reserve. And so you have all these little satellite banks that are dealing with the money regionally. And there was just 100x amount in the Florida reserve as there was any other one in the nation.
Oh, I see.
Really just showing how much cash was coming in and out of Florida. Like
compared
during
to other states.
Yes. And like at the time, this was all in Killing Pablo as well. Or maybe, maybe it was in Cocaine Cowboys. I don't know. I watched so many of these damn things. But like there was a full recession in the 80s, but there was a wait list for Ferraris, Mercedes, and Porsche in Florida because there was just billions of dollars coming in from narco trade.
Okay, well then that fact is bunk because I was confused. I thought you were saying the National Federal Reserve has
had
less
than
money than Florida's State Reserve.
I got you. I imagine other people were confused too, so I'm glad we drilled deeper into it.
Okay, so you said the Bad Sports show on Netflix is done by the Wild Wild Country people. It's actually not. It's Untold that's done by the Wild Wild Country people.
Thank you.
Both are incredible shows.
They really are.
And they came out pretty much at the exact same time, so it was confusing.
Yeah, a few months apart. I'm sure the makers of both of those were like, wish you could have spaced us out a little bit.
I tried to find out how long the India clone high hunger strike went on. But I think it was just like that day. And they made the decision pretty quickly.
Maybe I'll go on a hunger strike until you're negative.
Oh.
Yeah. Because I could do that. I could achieve that.
Okay. So is that just like a personal goal? It's not really about...
It's about you. You tell your body. I think because you're very goal oriented.
I am.
If you have the goal of saving me by saving yourself, it'll probably speed things up.
Okay. I'll talk to my house.
In your cytosines.
Yeah. Phil said The Magic Portal was the first brick film. The first known brick film is a Danish movie. It's called Journey to the Moon.
Okay.
It was created in 1973. 6-minute video featured both stop motion animation and live action and was recorded on Super 8 film.
Oh, wonderful.
Okay, you told Ike's famous joke.
Oh, right, which has been updated at the live show.
Yeah, that's right. You guys will hear it on an upcoming episode.
Yeah, he's got part 2 of that joke.
Yeah. You were telling it, and so in telling it, you were just like, his partner, Mike.
Okay.
Dave
is his part.
Yeah, Dave Stassen. Yeah. You knew.
I know now, but I didn't know then. That's weird.
Yeah, that is weird.
Yeah.
Well, he probably told you again.
Yeah, probably because I heard it. But also, I was driving down the road today. There was something I was trying to think of for 2 days, the last 2 days, and then today I thought of it. So that happens too, right?
But you had COVID with...
Okay. I thought it was interesting what he was saying about the Bell Labs building and that it's the Lumen building for Severance. How cool.
Very cool.
And then I wanted to figure out what some of the inventions were at Bell Laboratories.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, we start with Alexander Graham Bell. So the telephone, the phonograph, some kind of battery technology. That's why I got interested in them.
Researchers working at Bell Laboratories are credited with the development of radio astronomy, the transistor, the laser, the photovoltaic cell, the charge coupled device, CCD, information theory. 9 Nobel Prizes have been awarded for work completed at Bell Laboratories.
Wow. What an esteemed joint.
Yeah, that's cool. And now maybe an Emmy-winning show set.
Most likely.
Okay, the airline safety video dance is Alaska Airlines.
Oh, okay.
Which was Virgin, I think, before.
Yeah, Virgin had some, and they had, because they have crazy lights.
Yeah, I think Virgin had the dancing one as well, and then maybe they took it when Alaska bought them.
Did Alaska buy Virgin?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, wow.
I liked Virgin, and I liked when Alaska would randomly have a Virgin plane.
Yeah, people liked it.
It's like a party bus plane. The Alaska Air Group acquired Virgin America in April 2016.
Okay, 6 years ago. Congratulations, Alaska.
No.
Didn't you say 16?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's 22.
Yeah, 16 plus 6
Oh,
is
my
22.
God.
Oh, my God.
Slow math.
Yeah, the opposite of fast math is COVID math. Now we know.
We had a sound,
Rona math.
Wish we had a sound effect for it.
So do I.
Oh, I have one. Hold on.
Oh, you guys both do. Don't hit that one that plays for a minute. Oh, great. That was a good one.
I don't know if she can hear our sound
Oh,
effects,
that
or
was
we
you?
Can hear hers, yeah.
Oh, Robbie Rob just did that. Dun 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 dun.
No, I did that.
Oh, okay.
I don't think it passes through Zoom.
Okay. Well, you both did the same one. That's convenient.
Sim.
I hope it overlaps in a really dissonant way. That's a new medley that takes off.
Me too.
I need an outlet for singing.
Okay.
So my new thing, I think, is going to be taking really well-known songs and trying to sing the lyrics, but with a whole new melody, because it's kind of hard.
Oh, that sounds really hard. Yeah.
Okay, so let me play you last night's that I could not stop singing to myself. Okay. And if you liked it, then you should have put some rings on it. If you liked it, then you should have put some rings on it. If you liked it, then you should have put some rings on it. You know what I'm saying?
Are those the right
sure.
lyrics?
No, I mean, I'm fucking with the lyrics a little bit, but if you liked it, then you should have put a ring on it. It was in a cartoon my kids were listening to, and then the whole night I could not stop going. And if you liked it, then you should have put some rings on it. This is the kind of thing I would normally send to Aaron, really. I guess that's my only outlet, is to send these things to Aaron.
What do you mean? You can do it here?
Yeah. Well, and I just did, but here's from our trip. Let's see. Oh, Peasanic. So that's that commercial we love. It's
Wait.
for a pharmaceutical called Impenza. We can't get the name right, but it goes, oh, Impenzed. But here, I'll play it again. Oh, Peasanic. Okay.
Oh, wow. That's fun.
Oh my God, a huge development. I hope you can see this. Actually, I'm going to send it to your phone so you can look at it right now. The biggest rite of passage, and I had nothing to do with this. I would never promote this behavior. But bless your heart.
Thank you.
Oh, bless your heart.
Okay.
Okay, so go ahead and look at your phone.
Oh, wow. It's a picture
Uh-huh.
of a penis.
Yep. And really humongous testicles.
Yeah, really big balls. And then hair.
I guess that's hair, yeah. We'd have to ask Lincoln because she's who drew this.
Oh. Oh, wow. I did not expect that.
Right.
Okay.
She presents this to me and says, Daddy, I drew a penis. And of course, I'm not going to shame her for drawing a penis. Who cares? And then I'm thinking, fuck, this is probably about the age I started drawing penises. And I don't know what else is. I go, well, I've drawn somewhere around 11 or 12,000 penises in my lifetime, trying to make her feel normal.
Okay, because she has some accoutrement.
Look, it doesn't resemble me at all. I wish I had balls that big. That would be so sexy, but I don't. But this guy's got a couple of cantaloupes.
Yeah, I actually think something might be wrong with this person.
Elephantitis.
Yeah,
Yep,
unfortunately.
Yep. Syphilis of the testicles. No, what do they call that?
Encephalitis.
Encephalitis. Thank you. Really good job. Encephalitis of the testes.
I have questions for her. Well, let's bring her on.
Okay, to do like an artist kind of walk you through the
backstory and
of the piece. Also, you can see where she erased something and then took another shot at it, right? There's like two other stabs at it.
Multiple shafts drawn.
yes, exactly. Like neither length seemed right to her. I guess in relation to the testicles.
Oh my God, she even drew a pee hole.
A urethra, yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. This is a great first stab at it. I hope she'll be drawing Ballsack Cowboys soon.
You know what people never do is draw vulvas.
Unfortunately, yeah. Remember, that came up when we had Gwyneth on, that women don't see each other's vaginas the way boys see each other's penises.
But even like Lincoln's drawing this, she's choosing to draw a penis instead of a vulva.
But there's
because
so
it's
much
just
more
in
going
the
on.
zeitgeist.
Well, I think also there's just way more to draw.
It'd be like trying to draw an ear.
Yeah, trying to draw an ear. That's a great analogy.
That's even hard. That's more intense than a penis.
But I'm just saying any bozo can make two balls and a stick.
Oh, right.
Too much to tackle.
Speaking of vulvas, under the manner of heaven, we're getting into some polygamy episodes.
Yes.
Lots of vulvas.
Well, Joseph Smith had access to 33.
Yep. And
Yeah.
young girls.
Yeah, really, really rough. Really rough. Rough.
Well, smooth because they're young.
Well, I'm not going to weigh in on. I think you're in better shape than me to talk about that.
Oh boy.
Well, I love you. I hope you feel better.
Thanks. I will.
Good, because I'm not going to eat until you're negative.
Yeah, the hunger strike is starting to put pressure on me.
It's really easy for me to say that right now because Lincoln and I stopped on the way home from riding at the motocross track and had In-N-Out. So I'm so full right now that I'm like, yeah, I'll just not eat for a long time. But I bet in 3 hours, it's going to feel more challenging. But while we're on it, Lincoln, first day at the motocross track on her new 110, big motorcycle. She did great. She probably did 40 laps, didn't have an issue. And then Jolene, I've told you about Jolene. She's like one of the best female motocross riders in the history of motocross, does backflips. She's so great, and she's so sweet and lovely. And Lincoln and I were out on the, like, what's called the vets track, like the smaller track riding. And she came out there off the big track, and she came up to Lincoln and said, "Can I ride with you?" And then she rode next to her. And she like pushed her a bit, which was great. It was so fun. And then after their 2 laps, Lincoln goes, "I can't believe how fast I was going." And I thought, you
cute.
lucky little bastard. You get egged on and coached by one of the greats of all time.
Well, yeah. She's also good enough, though.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
But just so lucky. Like,
Yeah.
oh, how
That's
great.
so fun. Okay, that's all.
All right. Love you.
Love you.